This is an AQA GCSE chemistry question based on the bonding topic. Have a go at each section, pausing as you go, and then review your answers at the end of the video. Here's part A, part B, part C, and finally part D. And as you can see, this is a 10-mark question. So let's take a look at the answers. Moving back to part A, we have a carbon nanotube. The structure and bonding is similar to graphene. They're used in electronics because they conduct electricity. Explain why carbon nanotubes conduct electricity. So we know about graphene, we know about graphite, and we know it conducts electricity from the general notes. This is an application question of that. Delocalized electrons are present, and that gets us 1 mark, and that means that they can carry charge through the structure. And I've highlighted through. We want to use that word rather than throughout, which would actually stop you getting that 2nd mark. Moving on to part B, it's a 4 marker, but it's actually marked in the style of a 6 marker, which isn't a common thing, but I'm going to talk you through how this is assessed. So we've got a badminton racket, and we're basically deciding which material would be better to make that badminton racket. Based on what you write, it will be judged on whether you are a level 2 answer, a level 1 answer, or if there's no relevant content. Some logically linked reasons are given, and there may be a simple judgment for a level 2. For level 1, relevant points are made, but not logically linked. So let's take a look at what you might do. Well, I would do a comparison across all 3 to find the best one. Wood is the least dense, which makes it lightest. Aluminium is much more dense, it might be too heavy to use. We have a comparison there. We can also look at the carbon nanotube being the strongest, the hardest to break, whereas aluminium, wood, might break very, very easily. So which one would you go for there? And then finally in our comparison, our carbon nanotubes are the stiffest, so they're less likely to bend out of shape, whereas aluminium, and certainly wood, may bend out of shape, may actually snap. Now if you get some of that information, it takes you into the level 1. We need a simple judgment, and there's no right or wrong answer here, you simply justify your answer. So you need to form a conclusion. Which would you choose, and why? Moving on to part C, we have a question here about the surface area of a nanoparticle of zinc oxide. It's 82 nanometers, so we know that one surface of that cube will have 82 times 82 as its surface area. But we know we've got 6 faces. We multiply that by 6 and we get 40,344. But the question very clearly states it must be in standard form, so we need to convert it. 4.03 by 10 to the power of 4. And finally, we go to part D. Some sun creams contain zinc oxide as nanoparticles or as fine particles. Suggest one reason why it costs less to use nanoparticles rather than fine particles in sunscreens. Well, we relate it back to our knowledge of nanoparticles and our knowledge of rates of reaction. It has a greater surface area, so we need to use less of it. That takes us to the end of the question. Thank you for listening.